Diane, I want to take you to a place that's very special to me. It's Bangladesh. 20 years ago, I had just become a pediatrician, and I went to Bangladesh to study very important public health problems related to clean water.
Dhaka, Bangladesh is a city in perpetual motion, the most densely populated place in the world. But even as its populace explodes, Dhaka faces a terrible problem.
In the 20 years since I worked here, the population has more than doubled. Each day, 15 million people search for clean drinking water and often fail.
So ironic, because everywhere you look here, there's water, but little of it fit to drink. Even for the rich, safe drinking water is an elusive goal. But for the poor, each time a child takes a drink, his mother wonders, will this be the one that kills him? This woman's child died from waterborne disease.
Diarrhea.
So did hers. And hers. This woman lost 3 children. But I was most struck by the story of Parveen.
Assalamu alaikum. Do you have any photos of your son?
I only have this.
Imagine if the only keepsake you had of your child was his death certificate. A few months ago, her son Rudoy simply asked for a glass of water.
He was 3 years old.
It started with diarrhea, which led to severe dehydration, causing vital organs to shut down. 3 days later, he was dead. One of 55,000 children in Bangladesh who will die this year from waterborne disease. And that statistic may be underreported. Of the 6 mothers we spoke to, 3 of their children's deaths weren't even registered. Their bodies ending up in unmarked graves like these, without any record of their short existence. I test Parveen's water.
There's nothing to kill the germs.
It's full of E. coli, little better than poison. How did it get that way? In slums like Parveen's, the only source of drinking water is a flimsy hose like this one, completely illegal. These hoses sometimes pass through water contaminated by human feces.
All across the surface of this putrid lake contaminated with E. coli are these hoses, these leaky hoses. It's unbelievable. They form illegal connections from the city water supply to this island. The people depend on this water. From a contamination standpoint, it's an absolute nightmare.
And the nightmare only gets worse when daily power failures cause pressure to drop in these leaky tubes, sucking contaminated water inside. In Parveen's slum, the water ends up here. And not only is it contaminated, but she and her neighbors have to pay through the nose for it to thugs like this guy. He's part of a citywide water mafia, brazenly operating in plain sight, that charges slum dwellers up to 23 times what it costs in the rest of the city. Parveen is now expecting another child.
Do you worry that your new baby will get diarrhea?
Of course I am scared.
What do you say to these young mothers? UNICEF's Monir Alam and I give Parveen a supply of chlorine tablets to neutralize the E. coli and a safe container to store water, with a small opening to keep out little hands and contamination.
Do we have a way to get her more tablets when she runs out?
Yes.
And you're missing a tooth.
But the odds are her child will get sick. And if he does, we can only hope this is where he ends up. Dhaka's legendary International Center for Diarrheal Disease Research, Bangladesh, where I worked 20 years ago.
How you doing?
My old CDC colleague, Dr. Steve Luby,
Welcome back to Bangladesh.
took me on rounds.
Are you feeling any better? Yeah?
It was doctors here in Bangladesh who discovered the miraculous cure, now the gold standard around the world, that brings patients back from death's door in a matter of hours. A simple solution of salt and sugar, combined with even dirty water, that restores the electrolytes they need to live.
It's just miraculous that if you can get this into children soon enough, that you save literally hundreds of thousands of lives.
And there are solutions. In a few slums, families have banded together, working with aid groups to persuade the water company to bring in permanent legal pipes.
By and large, people know what to do. They can see their water is dirty. The major barrier is poverty.
I thought about those young kids we'd met today, so happy in the face of so much deprivation. And even if it was just a Band-Aid, I felt the need to do something. So I made one more trip back to the slums. Sometimes you have to be the change.
If you want to think big, you can get together with your PTA or your church group and bring piped water right into Parveen's village.
We're talking something specific that can be done for sure. But let me ask about these pills, these little chlorine pills, because are people suspicious of using them, or do they really use them?
Well, you really have to teach people how to use them properly, because if you put too much of that in there, you're going to get that chlorine smell and that chlorine taste, and people won't want to drink that water.
But it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt anybody.
No, it doesn't hurt, but they're not going to stick with it.
Right. So if anybody at home wants to be part of this, it's Parveen's Village. And in 1 year, we are going to report back to you, and we're going to get this done. So go to abcnews.com or saveone.net. Get involved with us, and we'll be back with more smiles for more kids around the world in a moment.